Sorry? वटविटपि समीपे भूमिभागे निषन्नं सकलमुनिजनानां ज्ञानदातारमारात् त्रिभुवनगुरुमीशं दक्षिणामूर्तिदेवं जननमरणदुःखच्छेददक्षं नमामि। चित्रं वटतटोर्मूले वृद्धा शिष्या गुरुर्युवा गुरोस्तु मौनं व्याख्यानं शिष्यास्तु छिन्न संशयाः। ओम नमः प्रणवार्ताय शुद्ध ज्ञानैकमूर्तये निर्मलाय प्रशांताय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। So we are still in the introduction to Dakshinamurti Stotram. We haven't still entered into Dakshinamurti Stotram. The 10 shlokas in Dakshinamurti Stotram is popularly preceded by 5 dhyana shlokas. Everybody utters those 5 dhyana shlokas before getting into Dakshinamurti Stotram. So we will, the sampradaya also is that they look at the dhyana shlokas before they get into the main stotras. So we will see the dhyana shlokas and their meaning before we start with the Dakshinamurti Stotra. These dhyana shlokas are written, apparently written by one Swayam Prakashayati. I think he lived in the 17th century. So what he did was he wrote a lucid commentary in prose form for Dakshinamurti Stotram. See, Manasa Ullasa is in the poetic form, it's in a metrical, Srireshwaracharya's, which is a very good commentary. But this Swayam Prakashayati wrote in prose form. I searched, in fact many people say we are not able to access it. Perhaps we do not know where it is. I'm sure it is somewhere. I am also trying to locate it. But he has written apparently these 5 dhyana shlokas, which are very nice. So we will see those dhyana. The 3 dhyana shlokas are from there only. I just picked up 3 out of the 5. See, the paddhati, the procedure is as follows generally. When people enter into study of Upanishads or Vedanta, what they do is they start with Dakshinamurti Stotram. That is the frequently practiced method. They first go through these 10 shlokas, or some people stop with the 6th shloka, which is Rahu Grasta Divakarendra Darsham. There is one shloka. Sometimes they stop with that, or sometimes they go through the 10 shlokas. Then they go through the 10 major Upanishads and all Vedantic texts, whatever they need to study. The completion of that course is marked by studying Dakshinamurti Stotram again. See, in some ways, this signals that this is the essence of the entire Vedantic text. So that is why they, I think, symbolically do it. First they read Dakshinamurti Stotra, then they read the detailed Vedanta treatise, whatever they need to read, and then come back and read Dakshinamurti Stotra. So we look at the dhyana shlokas. Last class we saw the first dhyana shloka quickly. We didn't really get into some detail. So the first dhyana shloka goes as follows. Mauna vyakya prakatita parabrahma tattvam yuvanam varsishtante vasadrishi ganehi avrutam brahmanishtayehi acharyendram karakalita chinmudramanandarupam swatmaramam muditavadanam dakshinamurtim ide. Dakshinamurtim ide. Dakshinamurtim ide. See, if you look at any stotra, whoever writes a stotra, Because stotras are in praise of a Lord, typically, mostly. There's a slight exception in Dakshinamurti where it is not really in praise of Dakshinamurti, that is an exception. But by and large, the shlokas are all in praise of the Lord. So what you will find is the stotras are either written with Dvitiya Vibhakti or Chaturthi Vibhakti. Throughout you will find it. You can take any stotra and find. Occasionally it is in Prathama Vibhakti also, if it is just a description of the Murti. Otherwise it is in Dvitiya Vibhakti. If you remember the little bit of Sanskrit classes which I taught, Dvitiya Vibhakti is called karma. In other words, that is the destination for an act, for a kriya. So whenever a stotra is written in Dvitiya Vibhakti, you will find a kriya pada, which will be namami or ide. Here it is ide. Or stotras are written in Chaturthi Vibhakti. These are the most frequently. So this shloka is in Dvitiya Vibhakti. As you find Ramaha Ramam is Dvitiya Vibhakti. That's why everything is ending in the im there. You find Mauna Vyakya. In fact, there is a single pada here. There is one pada here which is Mauna Vyakya Prakatita Parabrahma Tattvam. That is one word, so to speak. Yuvanam, that is the second word, or pada. Correct technical word is pada. Word is an approximate English usage. So there are two padas in the first line. Mauna Vyakya Prakatita Parabrahma Tattvam. Yuvanam. Varsishtante Vasadrishiganai Avritam. Up to that is Dvitiya Vibhakti. Ramam Avritaha Avritam. Tattvam Tattvam. Tattvasya Tattvam eva. Dvitiya Vibhakti. Brahmanishtaihi. That is in some other Vibhakti. So it is actually qualifying something else. It is not directed towards the God. Because it is in third Bahuvachanam. So it is actually qualifying something else. We have to make sense of that. Acharyendram. That is one pada. Karakalita Chinmudram Anandarupam is a single pada. We have split it. We have put a dash. Or we have put everything together. It will look too complicated. So grammatically it is slightly inappropriate to do it like that. So Karakalita Chinmudram Anandarupam. That's a single word. Swatma Ramam. Again Dvitiya Vibhakti. Ramaha Ramam. Mudita Vadanam. Dakshina Murtim. Murtim. Dvitiya Vibhakti. Ide. So let's start with the Kriya Pada. Ide. Right? So I salute. I worship or whatever. Ide. So the question is whom? Whom are you worshipping? The Kriya must be directed towards a karma. So that should be in Dvitiya Vibhakti. That's where all these are coming. Basically, shloka is as simple as that. We are only saying I am, and Ide is understood. It is Parasmay Pada actually. So you don't have the Karta is understood. I salute. Salutations, I salute kind of thing. So Ide, I salute. Whom do I salute? The description of Dakshinamurti is available here. That is what the whole thing is. So let us look at the first line. It says, Mauna Vyakya Prakatita Parabrahma Tattvam. So we have to know this is a samasa. So many padas are put. I said the science of combining words is called samasa. So many padas are put into a single pada now. Attach, and then you got one long pada. Moment you decipher it, the meaning is unfolds. So Maunena Vyakya, Mauna Vyakya. The Vyakyana is description or explanation that is done through silence. So it's a Tatpurusha Samasa. Maunena Vyakya, Mauna Vyakya. So now we have taken two padas, combined them and created new pada now. Mauna Vyakya. Vyakyena Prakatitam. That which is manifested through explanation. So again Tatpurusha. So now you can say Mauna Vyakya Prakatita. Huh? And then what is being explained or brought out? Prakatitam. Prakatitam is put in front and made clear and so on. Parabrahma Tattvam. Right? Brahma Tattvam. Parabrahma Tattvam. This is again a samasa. Okay? I think Dvandva, I think it is, Brahma Tattvam. Para and Brahma may be probably Dvandva, I think. Parabrahma Tattvam. Now, Parabrahma Tattvam, so far we have put all of them together. Now, none of them belong to Dakshinamurti. So, this is the Anyapada Pradhana. You are using all these to describe a third entity called Dakshinamurti. So, now what we are saying, that person who is Bahuvrihi, that person who is able to use silence, and through silence he is able to communicate Parabrahma Tattva. So we are using silence, Parabrahma Tattva as two concepts, and describe a third entity using these two. That is called Bahuvrihi. Lambaha Udaraha, the person who has a hanging stomach. So stomach is not the person, hanging is not this person, but Ganesha is this person. That's called Bahuvrihi. So this entire thing is Bahuvrihi finally. So it's a, keep on adding and create whatever. This is the power of Sanskrit. So finally what is it saying? I worship that person who is able to communicate Parabrahma Tattva by mere silence. That is what this single pada means. Mauno Vyakya Prakatita Parabrahma Tattvam. Yena. Yena Parabrahma Tattvam Mauno Vyakya Prakatita hai tam. That person. I want to worship that person who happens to be Dakshinamurti. So that is the first pada. Mauno Vyakya Prakatita Parabrahma Tattvam. This is a very powerful usage. Because look at here, it's very strange. Vyakyana through Maunam. Through silence, explain. So I have been talking about this in Taittiriya Upanishad Bhriguvali also in some detail. Our culture is to communicate through silence. This has to be understood. This may, on the face of it, look very ridiculous. How can it? Because even when you communicate, people get miscommunicated. Even when people get miscommunicated. When you say something, people don't understand. Now we are saying by silence it is being communicated. So that is what it is. So the first thing is, by this, the importance and the value of silence is brought. Because silence brings a lot of Manana Shakti. Muni is Manana Shakti. The person who has Manana Shakti is called Muni. Manana Shilaha Munayaha. So silence is a very, very important value for us. Today we don't have time for it. If there is an opportunity to be silent, we switch on the TV and create sound out of it. Or maybe switch on a music and then want to play it, put it onto your with the earphone. We have not seen the power of silence. That is what this is communicating first. Silence. Today people use some words called non-verbal communication. Don't use any verbal communication. That is what it is. Non-verbal communication can be powerful if the receiver is willing to understand. If the receiver is willing to receive it. The adhikari must be there. When the adhikari is there, the silence will communicate far better than words. That is what is being communicated here. And this is exactly what Bhrigu, Varuna did to Bhrigu. When Bhrigu in Bhriguvali, Bhrigurvaiva Runihi Varunam Pitaram Upasasara Adihi Bhagavo Brahmheti. I want to know Brahman. Tagumho Vacha, he told him. Tapasa Brahma Vijijñāsasa, do tapas. A great concept like Brahman, how do you understand? Do tapas. And again he asked, he just kept quiet. He said Tapasa Brahma Vijijñāsasa Tapo Brahmheti. Then he went, Satapo Tapya. He also didn't know what to do. So I think the most important message here is silence is very, very important in our life. We are not giving adequate time to experience silence. Silence can be far more powerful and communicative. That is what it is. That is why, I have also quoted it several times because it's so favorite of me that in Lalita Sahasranama, the Para Pashyanti, Madhyama and Vaikari, Para is silence. That's why the same idea is there in Rigveda. Chatvari Vag Parimitani. Right? Ye Brahmanaha Viduhu Manishinaha. Those who know that there are 4 components of speech. Turiyam Vacham Manushya Vadanti. The last part which comes out in the form of sound is called vacha. Manushya vadanti, but Chatvari Vak Parimitani. It has 4 quarters, 4 components. There is enormous value, there is enormous importance given to silence. I think very important for us to experience and understand silence as a very important communicative aspect of life. So that is what is coming through this. And if you look at Ramana Maharishi's, most of the teachings are there. It's all about silence. Whatever he has questioned the questioner, and that's it. His sentences are all half a line, 1/4 of a line, but it brings you to a dead end of get into that silence. Because that silence can actually teach us many more if you are willing to hear that. It's arupa. It is nirguna. Silence is a nirguna form of this vaikari, which is saguna in some ways. So nirguna is much more powerful and much more subtle. So all those are coming through that mauna vyakya. So through that mauna vyakya, what is being conveyed is the important need to experience. I think every day or once in a while we must be able to get to that state of a little silence and observe ourselves. That is why the dhyana and the japa and all those are a little bit prescribed to take us perhaps through this route. So that is this mauna vyakya prakatitam. So and yuvanam is a young, this person is young and all others are older than him. In many more it is coming, so we will see that in some more detail in the other dhyana shlokas also. So the second description of Dakshinamurti is he is young. When Shiva came to do the teachings for Sanat Kumara, Sanakananda and Sanat Kumara and all those, Sananda and all these 4 people, he took a very youthful form. Now the youthful form is an expression of a certain sense of openness, a certain sense of energy, a certain sense of openness, and all those are conveyed through this notion of yuvanam. So here is a description of yuvanam. Then it says, again there is a big pada. Varsishtante vasadrishi ganaihi avritam. So we have to first do the pada cheda also, right? Varsishta, that is the first. Ante vasat, that is the second. There are so many things there. Varsishta, ante vasat, rishi ganaihi, that visarga becomes ra in sandhi. That's why the ra is coming. Avritam. So avritam is one who is surrounded. So that person who is, again we are talking about things which are unrelated to Dakshinamurti and use that to describe Dakshinamurti. So this is Bahuvrihi. So it says that person who is surrounded. I am saluting that person who is surrounded. Avritam. By whom? Brahmanishtaihi avritam. Rishiganaihi avritam. See, Rishiganaihi is Tritiya Vibhakti Bahuvachanam. Brahmanishtaihi is Tritiya Vibhakti Bahuvachanam. So both are connected. So one is adjective for the other. This is how we can easily make out meanings. So Brahmanishtaihi Rishiganaihi avritam. Right? And how are they? Varsishtaha. See, the Varshishtaha is a superlative form of Vriddha. Vriddhaha, Varshiyaha, Varsishtaha. So, quite, there are 2 meanings for it is either old or either mature. It all depends on how we understand this. Varsishtaha means one who is very old or very matured. Now, in our Sampradaya, there are 3 types of oldness. In fact, there are 8 types of teachers which we can worship. That's also there. So there are 3 types of oldness, which old or matured. One is vayasa vriddha. That's the easiest thing. By age, old. That is one meaning. Because Vedanta is the only place where we can have all age. We can, because it is like that. So vayo vriddha has one possibility. Varshishta is the superlative of the oldest or the most mature. One is Vayo Vriddha. The other possibility is Achara Vriddha. One who is matured through Achara Vicharas. So he has got that Adhikari in him to receive the knowledge. Such people. So Achara Vriddaha is another possibility. Or the third is Jnana Vriddaha. Jnana is not in an experience form, it is in a theoretical form. It just requires that bit of that additional opening up so that the whole thing bursts. The jnana has to become vijnana. It is at that threshold. So the Varsishta actually can mean Vayovriddaha, Achara Vriddaha or Jnana Vriddaha, whatever it is. So Varsishta, Ante Vasat, Ante Vasinaha. See, Antevasi is a term used for students, because what is the culture at that time? In Taittiriya Upanishad also we saw, in the first Valli, we said, Acharyaya priyam dhanamahritya prajatantum ma vyavachetsi satyanna pramaditavyam dharman, all these we saw. The structure, the ancient Indian education is as follows. Students are received not on the basis of whether they can pay, what caste they belong to, because there are references which shows that. Are they qualified, or do they have the adhikaritva to receive the jnana? That is what a teacher looks at. Then the teacher picks up those students, and the students are antevasi. No fee is specified, nothing is told. The student lives with the teacher for whatever period of time. 12 years is typically, there are people who continue for 24 years, 18 years and so on, because these are people who actually skip the ashramas and go directly to sannyasram. Not all do it, a small fraction may do it. So they are called antevasi, though ante means nikate, very close. In other words, they are in the same quarters where so that is the system at that time. You pick up the students, students are with you, students are taught by action, by partaking in day-to-day living, by teaching, everything happens. After the instructions are over, he becomes a snataka. The avabrita snana happens. The teacher tests him and says, he also tests the mindset. He is not ready for the sannyasrama, so 12 years you can go. So, avabrita snana, and he goes. That time after he goes, Acharyaya priyam dhanamahritya. Then when you are in a position to look at this culture, when you are in a position to earn, you earn and give what the teacher likes. Don't give a fixed fee of 1 lakh, 15 lakhs rupees and one size fits all, not that. What the teacher likes, give that. Then prajatantum ma vyavachetsi. Don't cut the progeny, thread of progeny. That is the one we saw in Taittiriya Upanishad. So they are called antevasi. So these are antevasis. Ante vasat. The pradipadika is vasat. So in samasa, all pradipadika, I mean the noun root will only remain. All the vibhakti will go. So varsishtante vasat rishiganaihi. These rishis who are all antevasis, right? And this Dakshinamurti is avritam by these people, by such people who are matured. Achara vriddaha, vayo vriddaha, atava jnana vriddaha. Such people, that person, so what is the meaning of this? That person who is surrounded by people who are matured either by age or by achara or by jnana, I worship him. So again Bahuvrihi. Brahmanishtaihi. Now, normally the word Brahmanishta, Shrotriyam, Brahmanishtam, Vidivat, Upasannaya, all the 2-3 Upanishads you will find it. Brahmanishta is used for the teacher. Here the word Brahmanishta is not for the teacher. This is for the student. Because this is qualifying the rishis now. It is not qualifying the teacher. Teacher is Dakshinamurti. If it had qualified the teacher, it should have been in Dvitiya Bhakti. Because this is the object of worship. This is in Tritiya Bhakti. So this qualifies the student. So here the Brahmanishta, it does not mean that Brahmanishta. There Brahmanishta is one who revels in that ultimate truth. Here it means they are in Saguna Upasana. They are reveling in Saguna Upasana. They have not been able to go to Nirguna Upasana. So that is the maturity they have gone up to. So the Brahmanishta here means Saguna Upasana, not Nirguna. Whereas the Brahmanishta you see in Upanishad, which is a qualification for a teacher, is a Nirguna Upasaka. He has crossed everything. He is experiencing and reveling in Brahma Tattva all the time. Here it is for the student. Brahmanishtaihi. That is the second line. Acharyendram, Acharyeshu Indra. This is Saptami Vibhakti Bahuvachanam. Among the Acharyas, I am the Indra. Acharyeshu Indra. Indra generally means leader. Devanam leader Indra. That is sort of a title. That's why Devendra, Gajendra, Gajanam Indra, Simhendra, Simhanam Indra, or like that. Gajendra. So here Indra is, the prominent or the topmost or the best or the leader. These are the different ways we can understand. So Acharyendram. So Dakshinamurti is the guru of all gurus. Adi Guru. That's why Acharyendram. Again, Ditya Bhakti. That the person who is the Lord of all Acharyas, let me worship him. Acharyendram. Kara Kalita Chinmudram Ananda Rupam. Chinmudram Ananda Rupam. Single word. Again, it's a samasa. Everything is put together. Here he talks about Chinmudra. See, we have a whole notion of mudras. There is a very vast set of mudras. There is a heart mudra. There is so many. There is a different. Delhi Airport T3. You will find some 10, 11 mudras. And as you come down from the new terminal, you will find different Surya Namaskar mudra. All those are there. So this the Chin mudra is done by the 3 fingers are kept away. The thumb and the index are joined together. That is called Chin mudra. Like this, Chin mudra. And there is so many interpretations. I mean, Chin mudra alone we can sort of spend a lot of time. I was just listening to Swami Paramarthananda. I liked his description, so I briefly want to touch upon what he commented on this because I liked it very much. See, first of all, if you take this hand, correct? These 4 fingers will be always together. This is always separate. Unless you make an effort. I mean, natural posture I am saying. Normally when you leave it, these 4 fingers are together and this thumb is separate. Normally. Now in Chin Mudra what we are saying is remove this fellow from there. Consciously we are making an effort. Remove it from the other 3 and connect it to this. Connect the thumb and the index. This is the right. Now there are many descriptions and many interpretations of this. One is, in a way, in this hand you can see the entire Jiva, Jivana Rahasya. Because these 3 represent, the little finger, the ring finger and the middle finger, represent the Karana Sharira, Sukshma Sharira and Stula Sharira. These 3. Which we are all. In the waking state, it is all Stula, Sukshma, everything is in action. In Swapna, the Stula Sharira is gone, Sukshma Sharira is active. In Sushupti, Stula and Sukshma is gone, the Karana Sharira is there. Right? So the first message that we can think of, and this 4th one is the Prakriti. Prakriti Guna Sambhava. How this whole Panchikarna process is, Prakriti is all in Bhagavad Gita. We have seen chapter 13 verse, what is Prakriti? Panchachendriya Gocharaha. Indriyani Dashaikam. Panchachendriya Gocharaha. That is the definition of Prakriti in Bhagavad Gita. 7th chapter also it is there. 13th chapter also it is there. Pancha cha Indriya Gocharaha. Pancha Jnanendriyas, Pancha Karmendriyas, Pancha Bhutaha, Pancha Gocharaha. 4 into 5, 20. The Indriyani Dashaikam, the 10 plus 1, 11 is coming here. And Manas is the one. Chitta, Buddhi, Ahankara. All these are the Prakriti. So this Prakriti joins with the Sharira. That is how it is all the time. That's why in Mundaka Upanishad, Dvau Suparna Samanam Vriksham Parishashva Jate. There is a nice shloka in the 3rd Mundaka. 2 birds sitting side by side. Samanam Vriksham Parishashva Jate. Tayor Anyaha Anashnan. One is actually consuming the fruit, other is watching. So this is consuming the fruit, this is watching. Like that. The Angushta is separate, the others are separate. So by this Chin Mudra, the first message that one get is we need to find how to take Prakriti from the Sharira Sambandha and connect it to the Purusha. This is the effort in our life. The Prakriti, again in chapter 13 of Bhagavad Gita, 19th sloka, Karanam Guna Sangoyam. It says the gum called Guna is actually Trigunas, is sticking the Purusha with the Prakriti. That says Sad Asad German, Yonishu Janmasu. The samsara of birth and death happens constantly because the Purusha and the Prakriti are stuck with. So the three can be three gunas also. So if you separate from the three, if you know how to become Gunatitaha Sauchyate, all these are in chapter 14 of Bhagavad Gita. If you know how to do it, the Prakriti joins with the Purusha, that is the path for Mumukshutva. Liberation happens only that way. So this is one nice interpretation. Second thing is, moment this Prakriti and the Purusha samyojaha bhavati, the Trigunaha, the Sharira Sambandha Anyata bhavati, you remove the Sharira Sambandha, it's a Purnatva. It's a Purnatva which is being shown by that. It's a sense of completeness that one can get. So like that there are so many interpretations. But I think there are many such things being communicated through Chin Mudra, Chit Eva Mutra, Chin Mudra, right? Another interesting thing is if you look at the names of these 5 fingers, this alone is Pullinga, all others are Strilinga. It's called Angushta, it's called Tarjani, okay? It's called Madhyama, Anamika, Kanishtika. All these are Strilinga, Prakriti Sambandha. This is Purusha Sambandha, Angushta. Angushtaha. And also there are so many things we can keep saying with this. Without thumb no work is possible. That's why Ekalayva said, give me the thumb, Drona. We can't do anything without the thumb unless some mean things we can do. If you want to work, this is a creation of nature. Any meaningful work you have to do, thumb is required. One finger is not there, you still be able to manage. Thumb is very, very important. Without thumb, doing work is very difficult. In other words, this jata, this prakriti is jata. The purusha is the energy through that, in the name of a jivatma. That's why this is the lifeline of the whole thing. So all those we can keep saying. So he is showing in his hand and gives us all these messages of what is the lakshya in jivanasya sapalya, sapalata katam bhavati. How do we get the ultimate liberation? What is the meaning of all that? So all that we can talk of. Chinmidram Ananda Rupam, Swatmaramam, Swaatmaramam. The day we know how to revel in our own self, we have actually liberated. In fact, this is the biggest training which we need for several hundred janmas to get into. We don't know how to revel in ourselves. All the time we look at what others are doing. We are using all these indriyas because unfortunately the design is also bad. All indriyas are turned outside. If only the indriyas are turned inside, life would have been little easier. The eye is turned inside or the ear is turned inside. That we have to make effort to turn them inside. By design they are outward focused. The camera is always focused this side. The day we know how to, that is where all these dhyana and japa and upasana will help us to turn the indriya inside. And look at inside, the world inside. A person who has been able to do that will be a Swatma Rama. He will revel. In chapter 6 of Bhagavad Gita, he says that. There is a pala of yoga in chapter 6. It comes in 18th, 19th sloka. I don't remember the exact number in Bhagavad Gita. There he says, Atmanyeva Atmani Tishtaha. Like that, there is one sloka. You can revel in yourself. That is the state of perfection. So, Dakshinamurti is a embodiment, manifestation of the state of perfection, which we need to aspire for. That is being indicated by Swatma Rama. And a person who is able to be reveling in himself will be nothing but a charming, blissful state. You say Mudita Vadanam. Vadanam is the face. Mudita is Moda. Moda is happiness or that bliss. One who has that kind of blissful nature. Because some people's face, if you see, you are very tense. But they are, they are very, very grim and all that. So it's, face is the index of the Mind. That's what they say in English. In all Indian languages also we have the equivalent, proverb. So the face is an index of who you are. So Mudita Vadanam is an index of Swatmarama. So Mudita Vadanam Dakshina Murtim Ide. So this is the first Dhyana Shloka. Vatavitapi Samipe Bhumi Bhage Nishannam Sakala Muni Jananam Jnana Dhataram Arat Tribhuvana Gurumisham Dakshina Murti Devam Janana Marana Dukkha Cheda Daksham Namami. Again there is a Kriya Pada Namami. So I worship. So whom do you worship? What is the object of the Kriya Pada? What is the karma of the Kriya Pada? The whole sloka is the karma, which is the destination to this worship, which is the object. Ditya, that will be always in Ditya Bhakti in Sanskrit. So now he says, the Ditya Bhakti you see in the first line is Nishannam, one who is resting. Nishannam. Now in the Karaka, I explained about Karaka. You can use it and say, where is he? Kutra Nishannam. You can ask Kutra Nishannam. Where is he resting? The answer is the balance is the answer for that. He says, Vata Vitapi. Vitapin is the meaning Vriksha. So Vata Vriksha. Vata Vitapi Samipe. Samipe, near means under. It's not literally near. Under. Adaha you should have said. But then the metrical, when you do metrical composition, you have to make a lot of changes because it has to fall exactly as per the meter. So that is where the power of interpretation lies in all shlokas. Because they are constrained in writing the shloka. There must be a hraswa, there must be a dirgha, there must be ashta aksharas, anushtup. So many things are there. That's why such words are coming. So Vatavitapi Samipe. Under the banyan tree. See, there are these two trees which are very, very important. One is the Vata Vriksha, other is the Ashwatha Vriksha. Right? Ashwatha Vriksham Suviruda Moolam Dridena Asanga Shastrena Dridena Chitwa. That's what he said in 15th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, 3rd shloka. He says, with this sword called detachment, dispassion, not Sangam, Asangam. Asanga Shastrena Dridena Chitwa Suviruda Moolam. At the root you cut it. Ashwatha Menam Suviruda Moolam Asanga Shastrena Dridena Chitwa. So that Ashwatha Vriksha is one. The other important Vriksha is Vata Vriksha. By sitting in Vata Vriksha, we will get the Jnana Asi, that sword of knowledge. With that you go and destroy the Ashwatha Vriksha. So these two trees are referred in our Vedantic text also. This is a Jnana Vriksha. Under this Vriksha symbolically, you get the Jnana, and that sword of Jnana, with which, in chapter 4 also he ends with Atishto Tishta Jnana Asina. He says, destroy this, all this ignorance with the sword of knowledge. Atishto Tishta Bharata. That's how he ends chapter 4 in Bhagavad Gita. Asanga Shastrena. So, Vatavitapi Samipe, Bhumi Bhage. So, Kutra Nishannam, we can ask that question. Kutra Nishannam, Vatavitapi Samipe, Bhumi Bhage. He is sitting below the banyan tree. Maybe there is a sort of a platform, sort of a thing on the, yeah. So, it's a sort of on the earth there is a nice sort of a platform we can think of. It's more an illustrative description. That's why I put the photo by the side also, just to sort of. Yes, that's the last line actually. Sakala Muni Jananam, right? Dataram. So the next thing is Dvitiya Bhakti is Dataram. Datri Shabdasya Dvitiya Bhakti Dataram. One who is the person who is giving to that person. What does he give? You can ask Dataram. Moment you say Dataram, he is a giver. Giver of what? Kim dadati iti as prashnaha bhavati. Jnana dataram. So that is the jnana comes there. Giver of what? giver of jnanam. How does he give? Arat. Arat means sakshat, direct, not indirect, not in roundabout and all that. With Chinmudra, with Mauna Vyaka, he is able to just pierce you and then absolve you of all your doubts, sort of. So Arat. So Katam Jnanam Dadati? Arat. Kim Dadati? Jnanam Dadati. So Jnana Dataram Arat. Right? Kasmai Dadati. To whom does he give? So Sakala Muni Jananam Jnanam. Muni Jananam Jnanam. Right? I mean, it's a Sashti Bahuvachanam. The knowledge of all these munis is given by him. And that person is Bahuri. That person only, I am Namami. I am worshipping him. And how does he give the jnana? Arat. Directly. Most effectively, most like that. We can take different meanings like that. Huh? Munijinanam jnanam datarah yena tam. It's Bahuri. Munijnanam, Munijnanam, Munijananam, Jnana Datara, Jnanam Datara, Jnanam Data, Yena, Jnana Datara, Tam Jnana Dataram. Like that it will go.
Giving Sakala Munijananam, or is he taking that knowledge is given?
No, no. Sakala Munijananam Jnana Dataram.
The jnana of the munis is giving.
Yeah, he is giving, yes. The one who is the giver of knowledge for all the. So, Bahuri, you are using the Jnana and the Muni and describing Dakshinamurti now. Anyapada Pradhana. Use these two and then describe the third. The giver of all knowledge of all the rishis. I worship him. Like that it is going. Arat. Tribhuvana Gurum. He is the guru of all the three worlds. He is the guru of gurus. He is the Adi Guru. Tribhuvanasya Guruhu, Tribhuvana Guruhu. Tatpurusha Samasa.
Three world here refers to what three worlds?
Normally, three world, whenever there is a mention of three world, it is Bhuloka, the Loka below and Loka above. So all the 6 there and the 7 are
All 14.
condensed. See, whenever 3 is used, basically what it means is, these are the two classifications. Either 14 worlds is one classification, 3 worlds is another classification. The 6 on the upper is called the Boha, Yoga, Soha, Maha, Janaha, Tapaha, all those. Then Atala, Vitala, Talatala, Rasatala, Patala, those 7. So 3 worlds generally means this is the reference point for us. Reference point, this, and this. That's the meaning generally. That's the convention actually. So Tribhuvana Gurum, Isham. Ish, is from the Dhatu. Ish is to Lord. Lord, to be the Lord. To exercise lordship is, so is called Ishvara. Isha. So he is the one, and what do you mean by lordship? The Srishti, Karya, Pralaya and Sthiti, these are all the, there is an act of God. That's why whether, no matter what religion we belong to, whether how much is the degree of our belief in God, there is one common thing we believe, there is some larger force behind all of us which seems to work. That is very hard to destroy. You can say, I am unable to explain that. That's a different thing. But to say a force like that never exists is a foolish idea. So that is the Isha. That is the most direct explanation of what a Isha is. Suddenly, a cloud burst happens, where is it coming from and what is going on here? You did not switch on a button and then got lightning out of somewhere. I mean, there is no way you can generate a lightning. You can put all your energy together, you will not light the city of Bangalore with some 1000 watts for a few seconds. I don't think there is available technology for that. So that is the Isha. So he is that embodiment of Srishti, Sthiti, Laya, all these larger forces which are, in a way, responsible for this Jagat, Jiva Jagat, Ishvara Sambandha Vishaya. So Isham. Dakshina Murti Devam. I already talked about Dakshina Murti, so I am not getting into that. Janana, again this is a samasa. Jananam cha maranam cha janana maranam. It's called Dvandva. Itare itara Dvandva actually. Then Janana maranam cha dukkam cha. Janana Marana Dukkha. You can keep on adding. A plus B, AB. AB plus A, ABC. ABC plus D, ABD. This is how samasa is made. This is how I showed all of them also before. So Jananam cha, Maranam cha, Dukkham cha. Janana Marana Dukkha. Huh? Cheda Daksham. Right? Cheda is to cut. Chid is to cut. Right? Daksha is Samartha. One who is capable. Darkshyam, executional excellence. I quoted this from Ramayana Sundarakanda. Rama's Valmiki say these are the 4 qualities somebody has, in that he said Smriti, Dhriti, Darkshyam. 4 he said. So Darkshya comes from Daksha. Darkshyam. Yeah? So it's a capability, right? So what is he? The person who is capable of all this, I worship him. Capable of what? Capable of Janana Marana Dukkha Chedam. See, what is our problem? As Swami Chinmayananda says, we go from womb to tomb. Huh? Mati, correct. Womb to tomb. This is what he says, Swami Chinmayananda. You start from womb and go to tomb. And that is called Janana and Marana. And in between you have this Dukkha. This is, don't look at it pessimistically. I'm not bringing pessimism here. I'm saying at one level, at the end of the day, if you evaluate what is life, this is what we are going through. There was a starting point, there was an ending point. In between there was Chalana. Ups and downs and ups and downs again and again and again and again. So the whole idea, whole goal for each one of us is how do you get out of this nonsensical cycle? To recognize this is a nonsensical cycle means we have covered enormous ground in our life, in our journey. In fact, many of us don't even recognize this. We are very comfortable with this. We complain next time we are into, there is one fellow falling into a deep well. Well is about 200 feet deep. On the way he is falling. There is one, on the wall of the well there is one small little sprouted tree, Ashwatha or something. He is holding on it. And it is actually giving way. At that time there is this honey dripping from the top. This tongue is going out. This is our problem. It's very momentary it explains that part. He is going to fall at any time. And now at that 11th hour the taste of the honey entices him. So he is stretching out his tongue. Somewhere it is there, I don't remember where it is, in one of those Upanishads, somewhere some discussion it is coming. He is stretching his tongue. That is our problem.
That is also good, that the snake is eating the frog.
Yeah, that is another one. Exactly. So these are telling us that this cycle, we have not understood that this cycle is a hopeless cycle. It's an absolutely hopeless cycle. Moment we take a sense of that, the Guru will come and then he'll lead us. As I told you, this is all. So that's why he is an expert in that. He will redeem us from this endless cycle of birth and death. That's what we are going through at the end of the day. Om to tomb, om to tomb, om to tomb. In between, so many things happening. That's what Shankaracharya says in his Bhaja Govindam also. I don't know where he. Punarapi maranam, punarapi jananam, punarapi janani jatare shayanam. Iha samsare bahudustare kripaya pare pahi murare. Same in a way. That's what he's saying. Somewhere I have it. I don't know where I have written it. Whatever. So Dakshinamurti is able to show us that path and that knowledge through the Chinmudra and all that. That we should be blessed to get that Guru. Dakshinamurti will come in Gurus of different order at different levels for us throughout our life. We have to greatly believe in this idea. This day Guru starts coming, it will be serially one behind the other. As we grow, the new Guru will come. As we grow, the next Guru will come. As we grow, the next Guru will come. That means we are blessed. And finally is what he is saying. Janana Marana Dukkha Cheda Daksham Namami. So that is the second Dhyana Shloka. Then the third. Chitram Patatator Mule Vriddhaha Sishyaha Guruhu Yuva. I'm doing a Padacheda. So all the Visargas have become Lopa. They have gone in Sandhi. When I am doing Padacheda, the Visarga will come. So Vriddhaha Sishyaha Guruhu that ir that you see, that is sandhi, it becomes ir. So guruhu, yuva. Guroho astu, guroho tu, not astu. Guroho tu, maunam, vyakhyanam, sishyaha tu, that visarga becomes sakara in sandhi. I showed you all those sandhis actually in the Sanskrit class. Or either becomes sakara, it becomes repa or lopa. Sir, the three things happens. Guroho tu maunam vyakhyanam, sishyaha tu chinna samshayaha. This is again a beautiful, nice shloka. Chitram. Chitram means not picture. Vichitram. Again, for metrical reason, V is removed. Vichitram. What a strange wonder here. That's what he is saying. Atra vichitram asti. He says, this is strange.
Chitram is also there.
Huh?
It's there.
Yeah, Chitrikritam. Yeah. Vichitram is more direct. We are able to, understand it much more easily. So, Vichitram. This is strange indeed. Strange what? Vadatator mule, on the tatoho mulaha, at the root of the vatavriksha. I mean, these are already explained. Vadatato mule, sishyaha vriddaha. The students are all old. Sishyaha vriddaha, guruhu yuva. So this is the first Vichitram. The teacher is young. The students are old. This happens only possible in Vedanta. Because I always say this. Veda, Buddha's son will never become Buddha. Buddha's father can never become Buddha. It is not your biotech matter. It is not chromosomal matter. Chromosomal matter is only for Prakriti, not for spiritual things. For spiritual things, science will not work. That's why Buddha's father was not a Buddha. Buddha's son is also not a Buddha. If at all he had, no Buddha. This is each one of us bring in our Karana Sarira, our Vasanas and Samskaras. So a person can be very evolved at the age of, that's what happened to Ramana Maharishi. So much of Vasana Kshaya Abhavat. At the age of 17, he was completely evolved, finished. He went there and he saw and got into the Patala Linga and he was in Samadhi for, 17, 21 days or whatever. He was there, finished, over. That one feeling was enough for him. So this does not fit into our, biochemistry, this, the DNA matter and all. They are all for physical. My sound, my daughter's sound may be, sound box may be similar. They are all physical issues. So this is very much possible. How much we evolve has nothing to do with our age. It has to do with our path. Vasana, how much Vasana we bring decides that. If Vasana Kshaya has happened, that person is born evolved. Jataparata, you just look at Jataparata and his father, there is so much of difference between the two. That itself shows that. The son was far more evolved than the father by any stretch of imagination. So this is very much possible. But anyway, he says the first wonder is the disciples are all old, the teacher is young. That is the first Vichitra. Second Vichitra is that Mauno Vyakya. Guroho tu. Tu means indeed, or it's used generally to sort of. So Guroho tu Maunam. Guru is just keeping quiet. He didn't say anything. So there is so much of transaction happening in silence. Guroho tu Maunam Vyakhyanam. Is Mauno Vyakya Prakatita Parabrahma Tattvam. That's what it is coming here. Okay. Sishyaha tu Chinna Samshayaha. All their doubts are cut off, extinguished. Chinna is, this Chinna Samshaya comes in Mundaka Upanishad, I remember, so I pulled out that shloka. Chiyante asya karmane, there is a nice shloka. Tasmin drishte paravare, there is a nice shloka in Mundaka Upanishad, which says Chinna Samshaya, I have that. So that is what this is. So there are two wonders here. First wonder is Guru young, students old. The second wonder is Guru is silent, students are absolved of all doubts. So that's what it says, Vichitram, Chitram. It describes this scene and then says, this is really indeed strange that is happening here. That's the power of final evolution. Silence is enough. Silence will communicate. Far more powerfully. Silence, I am telling you, will communicate far more powerfully. We have not touched silence in our life for anything. The more we try a little bit of getting, this thing is silence. Even in our Vyavaharika world, I am not talking about Vedanta. In our Vyavaharika world, silence has a lot of meaning. That's why when we are very agitated, close our eyes and sit for half an hour and look for the silence. It will give you the strength to solve your problem and ideas will come. Brain stilling rather than brainstorming. You can still the brain and then find some way out. So in Mundaka Upanishad it says, Vidyate Hridaya Grantihi Chidyante Sarva Samshaya. Same thing. Chinna Samshayaha Chidyante Sarva Samshayaha Kshiyante Cha Asya Karmani. All his karmas get exhausted. Why? When Tasmin Drishte Paravare, when he gets that vision of Sarvatra Samatva Bhava, all are same. As a concept, not as a, Vyaktitva will be different, physical forms are different. Annamayat Annamayam Chaitanyameva Chaitanyat Dvijavara Duri Kartuvanchasi Kimbru Higachagacheti. Annamayat Annamayam Atava Chaitanyameva Chaitanyat. What did you want to separate? When you say go, go. So if Chaitanya Drishti Abhavat, if somebody gets the Chaitanya Drishti, Tasmin Drishtiye Paravare, what will happen? Vidyate Hridaya Granti. The knot in the Hridaya Granti will unknot. So all our complications and all those will become light. Chidyante Sarva Samshayaha. All doubts will be absolved. So that's a Mundaka Upanishad Vakya. That is what he is saying there. Chinna Samshayaha. Sishyastu Chinna Samshayaha. Then comes the next dhyana. Nidaye Sarva Vidyanam Bishaje Bhava Roginam Gurave Sarva Lokanam Dakshina Murtaye Namaha. Here everything is Chaturthi Vibhakti. I told you Shloka can be in Dvitiya Vibhakti or Chaturthi. Gurave Namaha. That is Chaturthi Vibhakti. Here everything is Chaturthi. You just see Nidhaye. It's a Chaturthi. Nidhaye. Kasya Nidhaye. Sarva Vidyanam Nidhaye. Nidhi is a repository. Kosha. So moment you say, I worship the Kosha. Kosha of what? You can ask that question. Kosha of what? Kasya Nidhihi. Nidhihi iti shabdasya Nidhaye. Kasya Nidhi. Sarva Vidyanam Nidhihi. So that is a Sashti. All the repository of all Vidyas, Avidya, Paravidya, Aparavidya, everything is resident in him. It is the embodiment of all forms of knowledge that one can ever think of. Sarva Vidyanam Nidaye Namaha. The Namaha can be attached to every one of the Chaturthi Vibhakti. Gurave Namaha, Ramaya Namaha, Ramabhadraya Namaha, Ramachandraya Namaha, Raghuviraya Namaha. Everything is Chaturthi Vibhakti. So like that, Nidaye Namaha. Sarva Vidyanam Nidaye Namaha. Okay? Bishaj. Bishaj is actually a doctor. Jakaranta. Prathama Vibhakti Bishak. Bishak, Bishajau, Bishajam or something like that it will come. Bishak, Bishajam. Like Bishaje. Namaha, my salutations to the doctor. Doctor of what? Kasya Bishaj, we can ask. Kasya Bishak. Doctor of what? He said, Nero, now we have right finger, left finger, like that. So you can ask, what doctor? Bhavaroginam Bishaj. Bhavaroginam Bishaje Namaha. This Bhava is the samsara. Bhava is this chakka, the Punarapi Maranam, Punarapi Jananam, Punarapi Janani, Jatare Shayanam. Sleeping in the womb of the mother how many million times, he is asking. Are you not tired, is what he is asking. Again and again we are going through the same thing. One birth, womb to tomb, in between you have Sukha Dukkha. Again womb to tomb, in between Sukha Dukkha. Janma Mrityu Jara Vyadi. There is another method of explaining one life. Janma and Mrityu put on both sides, in between Jara and Vyadi. That's what it is in simple ways. So, Bhavaroginam Bishaje, the one who will cure the disease of birth and death. This repeated disease of birth and death, whoever cures, that person Namaha, to him. Sorry. Gurave Namaha. I worship the Guru. Kasya Guru? Sarvalokanam. Tribhuvanam Isham Gurum and all that. Sarvalokanam. For all lokas, he is the Guru. He is the Guru of all Gurus. He is the Adi Guru. So to that Adi Guru, Namaha. Dakshina Murtaye. Murti Shabdasya Chaturthi Vibhakti Murtaye. Dakshina Murtaye Namaha. I think there is one more which we will see next class, and then we will get into the Dakshina Murtaye. Doctor.
There is one word in Vishnu.
Nirvanam Beshajam Bishak.
What does it mean?
He, Beshajam is medicine, Bishak is the doctor.
For Nirvana.
So he is the medicine, he is the doctor, he is the medicine, like that. Brahmarpanam Brahmavihi Brahmagno Brahmanahutam Brahmaiva Brahmagantavyam Brahma Karma Samadhina. Agnimile Purohitam, same meaning. Agnim Ile. Agnimi Ile Purohitam Yajnasya Devam Ritvijam. Hotaram is also he, Ritvij is also he, Agni is also he, everything is he. That's the first mantra in Rigveda. Agnimi Ile Purohitam Yajnasya Devam Ritwijam Hotaram Ratna Dhatamam. Given, he is the giver, he is the receiver, he is the Agni, he is the Ahuti, he is Agnim Ile. Again, Ide, like that, Ile.
That concept we saw in Gayatri Yoga.
Vaishnava Guru Dakshinamurti is separate.
I do not know. In Vaishnava cult, Dakshinamurti is separate. It's Dattatreya, I don't know.
Bhagavatam it is there, in Bhagavatam.
They only have Guru, have one Guru. Dakshinamurti as such.
No. It's all
In Bhagavatam, the Dakshinamurti story is there.
No, it is there. For everything I